What's up, everybody? How are you doing today? My name is Pete, also known as Lord Petey, here to give you a little bit of information. What we're going to be doing is every single week we come in here, we end up giving you the Mythic Plus affixes for World of Warcraft. We talk about what each affix is, how to combat them a little bit, and kind of go from there. Now, just a reminder, make sure you hit that subscribe button here. Make sure you go to Twitch and hit that follow button there so you can see when we go live and you can come in there and chat and possibly even get a Mythic Plus with us, with myself and the people that we end up playing with. And it's 100% made of either my guildies or people from the community. So I definitely appreciate and love it all if you would join us. Now, so this week, what we end up having here is going to be our Mythic Plus affixes. Now, this time coming up is going to be Tyrannical, Spiteful, Quaking, Thundering. Now, let's just read up the list of what each of those do. Tyrannical, bosses do 30% more health, have more health, and they deal more damage. So that is as one. Spiteful is going to be those little dudes that spawn. You kill a mob, a shade spawns, targets one of the random people in the group other than the tank, and then ends up going after them. Then you're going to have your Quaking, which is going to be a little rumbling underneath your character, and then it interrupts any spell cast that's there, and if you're inside of that, you're going to take damage too. And then lastly is your Thundering affix, which we've been dealing with all season long. Enemies have a little more health, and in combat, what ends up happening is you get that Thundering Lightning Bolt affix, you're positive and negative, and you gotta, take them off. So what we end up doing from there is, so what we're going to take a moment to talk about is the tanks. The tanks themselves are taking, they're going to have a little bit of they're going to have an easy week this week in comparison to the past couple of weeks because, Tyrannical, you're going to have to be worried about for the bosses, but it's not too bad. You're Spiteful, you never get targeted. Quaking doesn't go on melee. Your Thundering now does not affect tanks, it only goes to ranged. So I feel like those affixes are actually really, really positive for the tanks. Enjoy your week of chill and relaxation. Next, your healers. Your healers are going to be cursing up a storm this week once again. You're going to have your Spitefuls, which make sure you have to interrupt, stop, slow, do everything you could do for them. You have your Quaking, which is going to interrupt them, so they're going to be constantly moving. Your Tyrannicals, so your bosses are going to be taking more damage, and you're going to be dealing with those Thundering, meaning you're going to have to end up making sure you're touching and wiping for everything else. So make sure you end up keeping an eye on that. So now your melee DPS. Your melee DPS are going to be are going to have a little bit of a difficult week, being that they're going to have to deal with the Spitefuls, which are very hard and problematic to deal with. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that. And I apologize for not looking at the camera. My son decided to wake up from the middle of the sleep for him. So, but anyway, so going back, melee, you're going to have to deal with just those Spitefuls. Keep an eye on them. Killing mobs, get back away. Be cautious enough to deal with those. So you don't know when that's going to happen and what's going to happen with them, but you want to make sure, keep an eye on them, okay? So that's that. Now, for your range DPS, make sure you keep your distance. You don't have to worry about Spiteful so much because, you can see them coming at you, so you'll be able to kind of hold them in place, get some distance, and then be able to kill them down. Where you're going to need to make sure you keep an eye out for mostly is going to be your Quaking. Quaking is going to really, really be affecting you to keep having to move. So your caster classes are going to have your most amount of problems. So be very, very cautious of that, and make sure you take care of that when you're there. Don't be hurting your healers. Trying to keep your damage to a minimum, because they are really going to be working hard this week. And I feel sorry for healers. So for this expansion, they've been getting kicked around left and right, and I do not feel like it is nice. And that's why I partially feel like the druids are the superior healing class right now. because of that. So, my 2 cents, if you will. So anyway, so you got to make sure you keep an eye on the Quaking. Now, as for dungeons, what dungeons do we have? So Shadow and Burial Grounds, you're gonna have to be careful of because you got those narrow hallways, so you gotta be worried about those. The domination dudes, all of them, all of the dudes or minions, I should say, for the spiders and the bats. So be very careful there. Halls of Valor, you aren't going to be that bad for Spitefuls. You have a lot of room to work and move with them. So that's not too bad for that. The hallways are going to be big. The difference is going to be the Tyrannical in your Halls of Valor because they're going to be doing, a decent amount of damage for that. What's it called? Season 1. So I forgot to pull up the list, so I had it all in my head. So just be careful of those groups there for Halls of Valor, for making sure for Tyrannical stuff there. Next thing after that, Ruby Life Pools. Ruby Life Pools is going to be pretty difficult. What I recommend is the first group of hallway, you take those mobs and you continue to pull them back into the hallway to make sure you deal with those Spitefuls and have room to deal with those Spitefuls cleanly. The only thing that's going to be very beneficial is because it is not it's not a fortified week. Since it's a Tyrannical week, you're going to be able to burn those down pretty quickly. The circle around the edge is going to be really, really nice to deal with. It's not going to be too bad. Where you're going to have your problems this week in Ruby Life Pools is going to be, in my opinion, the Tyrannical on that second boss. The Tyrannical on the second boss is going to be your problem because that searing dot on the tanks is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. So you got to make sure you have cooldowns and you're pumping your healer. The explosion from the molten ball on the walls, make sure you keep an eye on those. I gotta take off my glasses here. So be very, very careful of that. Agathar Academy. Let's take a moment and think about that. So, I guess where you're gonna probably fall into a problem where you normally would deal with the tree boss, it's not so much a problem other than the fact that you're gonna have to deal with the Tyrannical portion of that boss on him having a lot of health on him. So you got to keep an eye on that. So DPS them down there. The Quaking, you're gonna have to watch there too. But other than that, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Veximus will be an issue, not too bad. And the last boss is gonna have a crap ton of health. So as I'm talking here, notice how I'm saying most of the problems are going to be coming from the Tyrannical, not the other affixes. Azure Vault, just in general, is horrible because you're going to have closed-in hallways because you're going to have to deal with Spitefuls. The bosses are going to take a really, really long time. That is going to be like your least popular dungeon, in my opinion, this week. Knockhood, Offensive. A lot of the stuff you're going to be encountering with is a lot of Spitefuls because there's a lot of group ads. I think that's going to be a big issue. Make sure you're lust on the last boss because you're going to have to deal with all those ads that spawn up. Those ads for that last boss are going to have lots of HP. So lust there to burn those guys down. Where else? What else? Yeah, I feel like those are some of your bigger issues. Court of Stars, it's going to be closed, so enclosed, small hallways. Be careful there. In the areas that are open, use the second spawn area. So after you kill the first boss, which is going to be a little difficult to get to, you go through the doorway and you can hook a right and you can go up a bridge and over to the other side. I'd recommend using that area right there for most of your needs if you can, and pray that you have enforcers over there. pull your secondary mobs over there, you pull everything over there, because I think that's where you're going to have a lot of your movement. Or use the bridges going towards the second boss. I feel like that stuff was going to help you. We already spoke about Shadow Moon, and lastly, Temple of the Jade Serpent. Be very, very careful there when you are pulling, because of the hallways, the small enclosed area going to that second boss. Tyrannical for that first boss is going to be a pain. You're going to have clean kills there, which means not getting hit with your ads. You're going to means not getting hit with, what's the other thing? Not getting hit with the ads for that first hallway. Making sure you're getting all of the explosions and stuff like that for that first area. So yeah, that shouldn't be too bad either, but still it's going to be close hallways because of the Spiteful. So all in all, I think that this week is going to play pretty nicely. Most people are going to call this a push week, and in my opinion, I agree. But to an extent that you have to really be careful with Tyrannical, because it is going to be difficult to deal with. But you will be able to do somewhat larger packs while you're pulling from boss to boss. You're going to have to keep them AoE'd, and you're going to have to keep them going pretty nicely. So, once again, if you have any questions, comments, anything, please leave it below. My name is Lord PeteyTV. I'm here on YouTube and also on Twitch every single Monday through Friday. If you're looking for me at any social media, I am on Instagram and Twitter also under Lord PeteyTV. Please go, hit follow wherever you can be, subscribe wherever you can. And I appreciate you all, and I love you for, supporting the chat and everything. And by all means, remember, dream big, keep gaming. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy your vault, and we'll see you soon. Love you. Bye, everybody.